NFL Power Rankings Week 8. We're not going to name all 32 teams. We're just going to name our top 10 teams. Each of us are going to go.
We're starting at 10, right?
Yeah, starting at 10, going to 1.
Drum roll, please.
So my first team is number 10. I have the Buffalo Bills at number 10.
Oh, wow. Okay.
The Buffalo Bills are my 10th ranked team. I feel like they haven't been impressive. They haven't really faced great competition when they have against the Titans and Chiefs. They didn't look so good against the Jets this past week. It wasn't an impressive win, so I have the Bills at 10. Then at 9, I have the 49ers.
Oh, wait, you're going like that.
I mean, we can go either way. It doesn't matter to me.
Oh, because I don't want to forget everything you said when you go and then I go, because I'm going to forget everything you said if you go 10 now.
I'm writing down what you said.
That's why I'm going it like this, because I feel like I'll do mine first, you'll do yours, and then you'll do yours.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Then my next team, number 9, I have the 49ers, number 9. They're finally getting healthy. Their win over the Pats was impressive. Debo's back. Brandon Ayuk looks impressive. And even without Raheem Mostert, Jeff Wilson stepped in, and he's playing really well, so I have them at 9. Number 8 is the Cardinals. Their win over Seattle, I think, placed them into the top 10. Kyler Murray looks phenomenal. Their defense looks really good as well, and that's why I have them at 8. Titans are at 7. Their loss to the Steelers, coupled in with their defense, who haven't been so impressive, I have them at the 10, 9, 8, and 7 spot. For the 6th spot, I have the Packers. Their loss to Tampa really moved them down. Their win over the Texans, it wasn't impressive. I mean, it was impressive to an extent, but this didn't move them up the list for me, and it's not going to move them down either. So then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. My 5th team is the Seattle Seahawks because they lost to Arizona. They still don't have a defense. They're at 5 because I still love and trust Russell Wilson to carry the load and finish out the season strong. Then at number 4, I have the Ravens. I just feel like the Ravens are super vulnerable when they can't get the run going. When they start facing these better teams like the Steelers, which I'm predicting the Steelers to win that game, they can't win because they have to play from behind, and that's not Lamar Jackson's strength. And I don't think they can beat any of these top teams I have ahead of them. For number 3, I have the Steelers. Their win over the Titans was impressive. They're the only undefeated team left, and the Steelers have a top 10 offense and defense in the league. Number 2 is the Kansas City Chiefs. They beat Baltimore. Who else did they beat? They beat the Bills. They've had some impressive wins. They're also the reigning Super Bowl champion. That's why I have them at 2. But nobody can beat this first team. My number 1 team is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. After acquiring Antonio Brown, they are by far the best team, the number 1 team in the NFL. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Gronk, who's coming into his own, Ronald Jones, Rojo, Tom Brady, AB, a top 5 defense. It's a no-brainer that this team is the best team in the NFL and the best team by far in the NFC.
That was cool. It's a pretty cool list. It's wrong, but it's a cool list. Jack, you ready or you want me to?
You go.
So I did this off like just last week, so excuse me. But number 10, I got your fans, your lover boys. I have the Titans at 10. I feel like that L, the Bills was competition, but that was their first real competition at the top of the AFC, and they failed. They lost. Number 9, I'm going to go with the Cards. I feel like they jumped into the top 10 with a very impressive win against the Seattle Seahawks. 8, I'm going to go with the Saints. I feel like they've just been treading on good water. They've been getting a couple wins, getting healthy, getting back on track. 7, I have the Seahawks. They dropped a little bit with that loss against the Cardinals. 6, I'm going with Green Bay. Green Bay got a solid win against a pretty bad team, but nonetheless, a win is a win. 5, that's where I put Baltimore. I have Baltimore at 5. Oh, wait. No. Pardon me. Run that back. 5 is the Seahawks. 5 is the Seahawks. Pardon me. 6. Yeah, 5 is the Seahawks. Pardon me. 4, I have the Ravens. Pardon me. 4 is the Ravens. I feel like they've been also treading on good water, just getting wins, getting back to it. 3, like we said before, I have the Steelers. I feel like they're undefeated, but they didn't really play anybody yet other than the Titans, and they almost blew that game. Number 2, I don't know what's wrong with you. That's where I have your Bucks. They are the second best team in the league. You like to go high on their defense. They haven't, when they played competition, they've lost twice. So I don't see
Against who? The Bears
and the Saints.
and the Saints?
Yeah.
You don't think the Raiders are probably as good as the Bears?
Didn't you just say when they play? Okay, all right. I don't think the Raiders are that great. I mean, we can cancel both of them teams out, and they beat the Packers and they lost to the Saints, so they're 1-1.
They dominated the Packers.
Yeah, and they
a
lost
team
to
that
the
you have
Saints.
in your top 10, and the Bears aren't in your top 10. So the
Bears
Packers aren't competition?
I mean, I had the Bears as competition until you tried to jump the Raiders in there.
But you said 0-2. But wouldn't the Packers be competition?
That's a good point. You're right. That's a good point. So 1 and 2. I'm sorry. Oh,
And dominated.
They dominated, lost twice, and that defense has locked up the Broncos and the pretty weak teams. Good job. They let the Chargers score 41 of them. The number 1 team in the league, and it's still that guy, Patrick Mahomes, Super Bowl winning team, the Chiefs. I have them at number 1. They're going to be number 1 for a very long time until somebody could take them off the top. So that's my list.
This is tough for me, and I'm glad we didn't go to 15 because I almost wish we went to 15 because the 10th spot was very, very hard for me. And I almost debated between like 4 teams at 10. So I want to first give an honorable mention spot shared by 2 teams, the Rams and the Bears. They were 2 teams I was debating on top 10. I think they could easily be considered top 10. And then at number 10, I have 2 teams that I think could either be flip-flopped, the Saints and the Bills. Both of them, although I think they have the potential to be top 5 teams in the league, haven't shown that so far this season. They've been a little bit disappointing, but at any point, I think that either of those teams could be a top 5 team in the league. At 9, I'm going to go Niners. I think they're getting back healthy, and you saw last year healthy. Although they're a different team, last year healthy, they were a Super Bowl contender. And when they have been healthy this season, they've looked really good. So getting them back healthy, I think the biggest thing against them is their division. Number 8, I have the Cardinals, a huge win against the Seahawks. I was really impressed with them. They've been up and down like a seesaw ride at the start of the season, but I'm high on Kyler Murray. I said at the beginning of the year, I know Joel agreed with me. I think they're going to be a playoff team. Coming in at 7, I have the Titans. I'm still high on them. I took them down a few notches after the loss to the Steelers, which even myself, I might have been a little bit unfair with how much I knocked them back. I'm still super high on them. I really like their defense. I love Mike Vrabel as a coach, and Tannehill has been having an MVP-esque campaign, but that loss really hurt them in my eyes, at least in the eyes of my power rankings, I should say. Number 6, I have the Ravens, a team that, again, I was talking about them before, and I almost wish I had put them higher on this list, but it's just where they fell when I was ranking them. I still think they're one of the best teams in the league. You know what they are. Come playoff time, it's going to be a question mark, just like it was last year. Can they answer the challenge this year? And like many other teams, we're going to find out a lot about them in the coming weeks. But I'm still high on them. I love Lamar Jackson. I can't understand all the hate he gets. I can understand it, but I think it's ridiculous. I have them at 6. Then for my top 5, I have the Packers at 5. If they can add a weapon at the deadline, I think they will be already. I think they're serious Super Bowl contenders. If they can add a weapon at the deadline, I think they can really compete for a Super Bowl. Aaron Rodgers looked terrific. Number 4, I have the Seahawks. I know you've knocked them a lot for their defense, and while I don't think their defense is there yet, I do give them credit for the fact that they're missing Jamal Adams, who is a cornerstone of that defense right now. Russell Wilson has been incredible. That offense has been really great all season long, and it was a tough loss to the Cardinals, a really good team so far this season. That's why I didn't knock them down too far. Number 3, and I debated on these top 3 teams, but I ended up deciding on placing them on where I think they're actually at, not based on what I've seen so far this season. So I have the Steelers at 3.
Okay, fair assessment.
If we were ranking it based on who's had the best season so far, I would have the Steelers at 1. Steelers at 3, great defensive unit. Ben Roethlisberger has proven me totally wrong, and they have been the most impressive team this season. I just still can't put them ahead of, especially the team at number 1 and the team at number 2. I fear more than the Steelers come playoff time. At number 2, I gotta have the Bucks.
Oh my God.
You said it all about them. A great defensive unit. They're probably the most well-rounded team in football. Tom Brady has been proving all the haters wrong. He's been Tom Brady, the GOAT. There's not much else to say about it. And if Antonio Brown can come on to the field and actually make an impact, I might change my mind about these rankings because he's an all-pro talent. I just don't know if he can do that. So right now I'm going to keep them at 2. And at number 1, I have the Chiefs. Like I said at the beginning of the show, they were the Super Bowl champs last year. Patrick Mahomes is that dude. He's the best quarterback in football. Their offense is
Bucks
out of this
can't stop
world. I don't know any team in football that can stop them. And until they give me a reason to move them out of this spot, I'm going to keep them at number 1.
They can't be stopped, man.
But
The
again,
Bucks,
they're
the Bucks
going to
what?
stop them.
I will say this. There are even some picks that I was just reading off, and I was like, man, I don't know about that. It was very hard to rank these teams.
There are some teams that are interchangeable. I mean, for me, the notable teams I left off were the Bears, the Saints, the Browns, and Colts.
Out of your top 10?
Yeah, I left them out of my top 10.
You left the Saints out of your top 10.
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, have you seen them play this year? I don't think they're super impressive.
I think they're right in that.
I think
Bills
they're not
category.
at their. I think they're not at their peak, and yet they're still 5-2. Well,
What-
4-2.
What's their peak?
Top 5 team in the league. Easily.
I don't think that's their peak.
No, I think they're a top 5 team in the league.
I think they could be a top 5.
they're definitely better than the Packers at their peak.
I don't think so.
Well, they beat your boys, so
Week 1, what a fluke win. That was the
How was it a
Bucks.
fluke win if you thought the Bucks were gonna win?
It was a fluke win because
Oh,
that was the
out.
Bucks' first time together, first time on the
And you
field
picked the Bucks to win.
in a game.
And you picked the Bucks to win.
Let me ask
Because
this
I believe
question:
in Brady.
How many?
You
of,
thought Tom Brady didn't have any arm strength left. So.
How many of these teams do you think can actually compete for a title this season?
5.
3.
I'm saying, and I'll be generous.
It's between
here.
the Bucks, Chiefs, and the Steelers for me. I don't see the Ravens beating the Steelers, and I don't see any team in the NFC beating the Tampa Bay Bucks in the playoffs. I don't see that. And in the AFC, I don't see any team that can beat the Chiefs or the Steelers come playoff time. That's just my opinion.
I'm gonna say, in my mind, there's 5 definite competitors for a Super Bowl this year. You could stretch the list if you really wanted to be generous and say 7.
Who's your 5?
I have Chiefs, Bucks, Steelers, Seahawks, Packers, and then you could make an argument. If you said Ravens or Titans, I wouldn't call you crazy.
You would put the Packers over the Ravens?
Personally, right now,
I
based
had-
on what I've
okay.
seen, only because the Packers have played some better competition this year and proven themselves more.
Okay.
Right now,
I had Chiefs, Bucks, Steelers, Ravens. Those are my 4.
The Ravens, wow.
but you know what I will say I'll say 6 because the Ravens are in the AFC, and I think the AFC outside of the Chiefs is weaker than the NFC. It won't
Yeah.
be as much of a dogfight. All they have to do, in my opinion, is get through either the Steelers or the Chiefs, depending
I think
on
the
how the
NFC.
bracket
I
falls.
think the NFC is weaker than the AFC.
Really.
Yeah, when you look at the NFC, a lot of the teams that are at the top have major weaknesses. The Packers, they can't stop the run.
I think
The
but they're
Seahawks-
deeper, though. The
the
NFC is a
Seahawks-
deeper conference.
The Seahawks, they can't play defense to save their life. What other teams do you have on there? The Cardinals or the 49ers, or you want to put the Saints? Like
Rams.
these teams have weaknesses. I think the Bucks are the most well-rounded team. When you talk about the AFC, you have teams who have much less weaknesses. The Steelers, the Chiefs, even the Ravens to an extent. The only weakness on their team is at a wide receiver. So between and then when you get to like the other teams like the Titans, Bills, and stuff like that, it's much closer. But in terms of the NFC, I think it's a one-team race.
I don't know. I think
And
NFC.
Tampa's going to the
I think
Super Bowl.
NFC. We could run 8-9 deep teams
Yeah,
down that can make the playoffs.
When you look
No,
at it,
yeah, but that can make the playoffs is different than competing for a Super Bowl.
well, I'm saying the
I
NFC.
think the only team that can make the Super Bowl in the
I-
NFC is the Buccaneers.
I think
Well,
what Riv is getting at
you're a little
is that
biased towards
there
it,
is
so.
8 or 9 teams in the NFC that can really give you a competition in a playoff game. And when you look at the AFC, where the Ravens sit right now, the only 2 teams that I would have ahead of them in the AFC are the Steelers and the Chiefs. You could make an argument for the Titans. I wouldn't at this point in time.
But they beat the Ravens.
Who?
The Titans.
When? Oh, you talking about last year?
Last year. Personally,
I'm just looking. I wouldn't like. I know everybody likes the Dolphins. Like I know you guys do, but I wouldn't put if they make the playoffs. I don't believe in them to win that game. Like and that
the Dolphins pick like.
But they sit right where the Niners would sit in the NFC, and I think the Niners, if they are healthy and they walk into they can win a playoff game. That's what I'm saying. The NFC runs deep. Like they're a deeper conference than the AFC. I think I get what you're saying. AFC top heavy. Those three teams, yeah, no weakness. NFC is like the Bucs are the only team with no weakness, real. But I think if talk about conference for conference, who's deeper? I think the NFC runs deeper, better teams than the AFC.
Yeah, right now when you look at the NFC. In the 7, 8, 9, 10 is Rams, Saints, 49ers, Lions. And when you look at the AFC, it's Colts, Dolphins, Raiders, Chargers. So I just think the NFC is deeper in terms of teams that
can make the playoffs.
Yeah, that's what I was going
and
at.
Can put up a fight in a playoff game. Maybe not be favored in playoff games, but can really make you grind one out in an early playoff game.
Yeah, not like Super Bowl, but the playoffs.
One thing's for certain. The Eagles aren't on that list.
We're going to make the playoffs.
Yeah, because the division.
Wait, but you guys wouldn't make the playoffs in our division.
No. So and I'm not under any illusion that they would.
Because you love to throw these jokes, but like you have like 7 different favorite teams.
No,
that's
the
why
Jets
you be hitting it.
The Jets would not make the playoffs in any division.
Yeah, we're going to make the playoffs. That's all that matters.